Hello, I'm the masked amp. I've got a mask and I'm an amp. This is another in my series of reminiscences of an out-of-hours social worker. Between 1983 and 1997, I worked shifts on the out-of-hours standby duty team, as it was the only way for a social worker to earn extra money. I had a mortgage and 3 children under the age of 5, and a social worker's pay didn't go very far. We dealt exclusively with emergencies and crises that arose outside normal working hours, covering nights, weekends and bank holidays. Out of hours, 2 social workers covered the entire county. It was a large geographical area of over 2,000 square miles, and it could entail a journey of 40 or 50 miles to reach the far ends. Some of these incidents entailed creative thinking to resolve them. Sam and Stuart. It was late in the afternoon on an August bank holiday Monday when I received a call from the police. They had 2 13-year-old boys who had been found by a passing police car hitchhiking down a quiet country lane. They said that they'd been threatened and were in fear of their lives. That particular weekend, there had been a New Age Travellers Festival on a rural site miles from anywhere. These 2 boys had been there with the father of one of them. New Age travellers were particularly prevalent in the 80s and early 90s. They were mainly itinerant, travelling from one place to another fairly aimlessly in ramshackle convoys of old buses, ambulances, vans and other vehicles that had been converted into somewhat makeshift mobile homes, especially during the summer months when they would move from one free festival or country fair to another. They were essentially the tail end of the 1960s, 70s hippie movement. Having had some pretensions to being a hippie in my teenage years, before getting a haircut and getting a job as a social worker, I had some sympathy for them. But these boys were making allegations that could amount to child abuse. Their story was that they had been wrongly accused of a misdemeanour by some sort of ad hoc New Age parliament and were escaping from some dreadful but unspecified punishment. Clearly, I was going to have to do some investigation and try to get to the bottom of it. Otherwise, I would have to place them in a children's home, at least until the local social services office could sort something out the following day. "Have you made any attempt to find the father?" I asked the duty sergeant. "I expect he'll be on the festival site," the sergeant said. "Yes, I know, but have you sent any officers out to try and find him so you can find out what's actually going on?" "Huh, I can't send my officers out there," he said. "Far too dangerous. Asking for trouble." So it looked as if I would have to make my own investigations if I was to avoid having to try to find a placement for 2 teenage boys on a bank holiday. I drove out to the site. By now the festival had finished and many of the attendees had left or were packing up. There was nobody managing the entrance, so I drove over several fields that had been used for the festival until I reached a group of tents and vans. A few people were milling about or just sitting round campfires, cooking or smoking. They didn't seem too threatening. I saw a man with long hair and a beard standing at the mouth of a yurt. "Hello," I said hopefully. I explained briefly who I was. "Do you know a couple of young lads called Sam and Stuart?" "Oh yes, I do," he replied a little grimly. "Do you know where they've got to?" I explained the situation to him. "Come inside," he said, and ushered me into his yurt. It was quite a comfortable and surprisingly roomy space, with a pot-bellied wood burner in one corner and a few beds which also stood in as seating. He said that he was Sam's father, and Stuart was with them with the permission of his parents for the duration of the festival. Now the festival was over, they would be returning to another part of the country. He told me to sit down while he got the nominal leader of the group. He came back with a pleasant-looking middle-aged woman. She explained that Sam and Stuart, far from being the innocents they were claiming to be, had actually been caught stealing minor items from others at the festival. The habit of the group, when a member had contravened one of their few rules, stealing was one of them, was to convene a meeting, confront the offender with their misdemeanour, and then suggest some sort of restitution. In the case of Sam and Stuart, their appointed job was to help to clean up the site. They had not wanted to do this, so had decided to run away. There really did not appear to be any reason for social services to accommodate Sam and Stuart. I concluded that the best solution was to return them to the traveller group and the responsible adult, and they could then go and leave the county and go home. I took the father with me to the police station, where the boys looked rather chastened, but not in any way fearful when they saw him. He clearly had a good rapport with them. After getting some fish and chips from a local Chinese, which was open on the bank holiday, I took them all back to the camp and went on my way. Thank you for listening. If you find these videos informative or entertaining, please like and subscribe.